Brits, and they're like, and Loki's like, let me handle this shit. Hey, Heimdall, look over there. And Heimdall's like, what? And they run past. And I'm like, he's the god of deceit. What the fuck? Why do you all believe him? I don't know. It's like, what's he? That's why the timeline here was kind of weird for me, because I didn't understand, like, isn't historically Thor and Loki, like, isn't Loki, like, traditionally, like, the god of deception? Do they not know this yet? It was weird to me. I don't know. I'm sorry. But, and then there's a time when Thor and Loki are children. So did Loki just really behave himself for, like, 1,000 years while this goes on, and then he kind of betrays? I don't know.
Could be a Patrick Bateman thing where he's all normal at the office, but he's killing hobos when people aren't looking. That sort of.
So everybody knows that the Asgardians, that Loki is full of shit.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually did like that they stayed very true to the costumes. That the costumes were close to the fact that the Thor's cloak kind of comes off his shoulders and like raises up. I love the fact that they kept Loki's costume with the big fucking horns that go up. I know that looks silly to most people, but if you read the comics, that was his thing, where the big hat with the horns coming up. Then I'm glad they didn't recast Loki as a hot chick like they actually did in the comics for one time, where Loki was like, you know what, I would be a chick now. They just did that. Where they're like, what the fuck? And Loki's like, I'm a god, I look however I want. Like this, I got boobs, and I'm like, what the fuck? They really just wanted to have another hot chick drawn in the comic, and that's why they changed Loki. I'm like, okay. But yeah, there were. I think I'll close that by some more technical complaints and compliments. Actually, what was weird was the stuff that should have looked really fake looked really good, and the stuff that had no business looking fake looked really fake. Example. The Rainbow Bridge looked fantastic. They could have so easily done something like just had like a big animated rainbow, like in My Little Pony, like, and they were just like riding around, and Heimdall saying this thing, you'd be like, oh, geez, what the fuck are they doing? This is so gay. But you know, it actually kind of this thing where it looked like graphite or like, you know, oil on glass or something like that. It looked really cool. That being said, there was a bunch, like, the stuff on Earth looked like it was all shot on a soundstage, which it probably was. The early stuff, the stuff where they're setting up the legend of the Frost Giants against the Asgardians, looked so bad.
Frost Giant Planet was probably the part.
That looked so cheesy. It was almost walk out of the theater bad special effects. It was that bad for me, where like, if you look at the scenes where the Frost Giants are attacking the village of humans in like Norway, whatever it is, and they're burning people, that was such a soundstage. That was crazy soundstage. Like, and like ordinarily I wouldn't care, but this is actually fairly high budget. That looks so cheese. The worst effect by far was when Odin leads the Asgardians against the Frost Giants, and they have these two armies on hills. It looked like they just took like two figures and cloned them like 3,000 times, where they were all moving the exact same animation. This is the Frost Giants. They had like 3 Frost Giants, and they cloned those guys like 3,000 times, to where they were all very neatly little segregated on the map in little equidistant amounts, all kind of waving their swords in robotic fashion. I'm like, look at that war scene again. If you want to see a good war scene, like Lord of the Rings, this ain't, you know. Where it was that scene was so bad. If you were watching that, I couldn't really take that shit. And honestly, I thought I honestly thought we could have done a little more action. And again, this is where I have a problem with the S.H.I.E.L.D. bit, where I didn't really want to see Thor beating up agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I wanted to see more fights like Thor and the Warriors 3 against the Destroyer dude. I wanted to see him fight more Asgardian type stuff. I wanted to see him fight more superpower type dudes, because that was where Thor was really cool. Was watching Thor use his powers, you know, watching Thor interact with the other Asgardians. The Warriors 3 were kick ass. I love the dude with the Errol Flynn mustache and the goatee. The names escape me now. In fact, ordinarily, ironically, I know the fat guy's name, Volstagg. I know that guy. But I love the Warriors. They all had their own little unique fighting abilities. Like the Errol Flynn guy had his little fencing. He had like a saber or something like that. The other guy had his. Basically, he got thrown around like a big fat blob a lot. But Sif was okay. I always thought it was pronounced Sif, not Sif. They call her Sif.
It needed an action scene about halfway through, and plot just couldn't allow it.
Oh, you got one. It was the one where he fought SHIELD agents, and I was just like, it's just a big burly blonde guy fighting other dudes.
A superhero.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I really could have gone with him fighting some Asgardian monster, and I really thought this was a good chance for him to fight the Midgard serpent, which is the big dragon in Norse mythology. I thought that would be a really good, and like I said, and that's where I walked out of the movie going, that was okay, that was fine, but I would have really preferred to see a Thor movie where he fights Thor enemies, something where he's like bopping around Asgard and fighting mythological shit. And the movie was best when he was doing that, but there wasn't enough of that. And so, is it worth seeing? Yeah. I mean, if the concept interests you at all, if you're a fan of the comics, it's worth seeing. I did not see it in 3D, nor will I ever. 3D needs to die a horrible, lingering death.
I didn't either.
I care nothing for 3D. It was worth seeing it if you care. Like if you're on the fence about it and you're like, it looks kind of dull.
If you're just a Marvel fan.
If you're a Marvel fan,
if you like the previous superhero movies, I don't see anything that would keep you from not liking.
But I mean, people walked out of there. I've heard right across the board, this is a great movie. This is a terrible movie. People felt betrayed. I didn't think this was a betrayal. This is not. This is you wanted to see a Thor movie. This is a Thor movie. It's fine. It's not a 5-star movie by any stretch of the imagination, but it's entertaining for its runtime. I just wish we got a better Thor movie than the one we got.
I would like to see the same cast and director go for a Thor 2.
Then honestly, I was more fired up about the Captain America movie and the trailer than I was about anything else. I thought Captain America was really good. But ironically enough, I've always been a bigger Captain America fan than Thor anyway. The one movie, I'm gonna... Green Lantern. I'm sorry.
And I'm the Green Lantern fan.
I really, guys, I'm sorry. Green Lantern looks like shit. It looks... Oh, it looks bad. I have nothing else to say, but I'm sorry. I've watched this trailer going like, this looks like the biggest horse shit I've ever seen. Really, people are fired up about this? And like, that's my, I'll go see it, and people are gonna accuse me of going in with a bad attitude, but I'll tell you if it's good. I hate fucking Green Lantern stuff. I hate the character. I hate Hal Jordan.
What's another one like Thor is that I just don't see how a movie period could get made out of that subject or that source material. It's almost too fantastical and too goofy at times.
Well, you do have a point.
It works on the page, but putting it in live action.
You do have a point in the sense that of any of the characters in the Avengers, Thor is the least grounded. We're like, and I hate to pull more realistic, less realistic when you're talking superheroes, but you've got Iron Man, who's a guy who made a super suit. You've got Incredible Hulk, who's basically a guy who took a magic serum that made him into a big green dude. You got Black Widow, who's in this context of the movie just a ninja, essentially. Hawkeye's a really good archer. And then you got Thor. You've got a god.
God of Thunder.
Yeah, so you've got the God of Thunder, and so it's kind of hard to reconcile that with the various. We basically have this very grounded, more realistic than most kind of superhero mythologies, what I'm saying, like that. And then you got the God of Thunder, who's like riding down on a fucking lightning bolt, and you're like, oh, that's new.
But Green Lantern, you got him like chucking big fists at people and making like, sometimes he can be goofy with what he makes with his ring, and it just seems, I don't know what they're gonna do, if they're gonna make it a comedy because they got Ryan Reynolds and he's gonna make stupid shit with his ring.
Oh, honestly, the impression I got from the characterization of Green Lantern is that they're really playing him more like Kyle Rayner than Hal Jordan, if that makes sense. His name's Hal Jordan, but he's way more Kyle Rayner. Just because Ryan Reynolds is much more kind of a cartoony type guy than Hal Jordan. He's always been kind of a pill.
Yeah, he's always been serious, and early on, early on, it always kind of seemed to me that Hal was kind of like a